All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what time it is, and right here, right now, we actually got a Long Beach, California hip hop legend right here live on the line. We got the one and only Butch Cassidy. How are you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm doing real good. How y'all doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Best I can possibly be down here in Canada. I gotta say, first and foremost, man, thank you so much for just giving us a bit of your time here this evening. Me personally, I've been a fan of your craft for a long time, man, so it's truthfully an honor.
Oh man, I appreciate that, but don't make me sound so old, man. How long you been a fan?
I've been a fan actually since I first got my hands on that Death Row Records Christmas album, the song you actually did alongside your cousin Nate Dogg.
Oh, don't tell the fans the year though.
Hey, I most definitely won't, man, but it's definitely a phenomenal project.
Yeah, that was back in 2020, I think.
Hey, most, I gotta say, man, it's definitely the timeless record, man. So I will definitely say 2020.
Cool. That sounds good. What was the name of that song again? Be Thankful.
Be thankful, yes. Phenomenal song, man, phenomenal. But I do want to take you back to the beginning, though, of your amazing career this far, man. And I read as well that at the beginning of your career that you were actually in a church choir alongside Nate Dogg. I was wondering what actually made you both decide to join that choir, and of course, what was it like just being a part of that at such a young age?
Well, we didn't decide to join. Our family just put us in it. See, back then you didn't have the choice, to be like, I want to sing or not. My family has always been singing, so once we got a certain age, they just threw us in the choir. We really didn't have no choice. So that's where that stood right there. So you didn't have no choice back then. You was just told to sing, and you did what you had to do. And that's what me and Nate did. We just did what we had to do.
And if you don't mind me asking, is there any times back then where you really didn't want to do it, like, or when your parents had said do it, you were like, you know what, most definitely I'll do it. Was there any times when you were young, being like, I really don't want to do this, I want to do something else with my life?
No, because all these years, my family, they do a concert once a year, a gospel concert. So we grew up, we just always had the same. You didn't really have no choice. So you either did it or you suffered the consequences.
And also, as well, in the early stages of your career, DJ Kevin Slow Jam and James actually became a huge fan of your demo recordings that he actually played regularly on his radio show. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about that business relationship that you guys had, and of course, how did he originally get his hands on your demo back in the day? Because do know back in those days, a lot of people would like kind of hand them off to one person to kind of get passed around.
Uh, well, he had a show called the Slow Jam Show, and I called one night, me and my girlfriend were chilling out, and I called to request a song, and I said, forgot which song it was. It was by a song by Heatwave. It's called Always and Forever. I'm sure everybody heard that. And I requested it, and he was like, man, come on, everybody request that song. Why don't you request something else? And at that time, Nate Dogg had his first album out, the G-Funk Classics, Volume 1 and 2. So I said, why don't you play one of my songs then? And he was like, what is that? And I requested a song that me and Nate did called Going Down the Night. And he said, wait a minute, I know about that song. Man, who is it? I said, my name is Butch. So he checked the credits and all that stuff, and then found out the song. I was telling the truth. And he was like, all right, I'll play that song. And I'm like, okay, cool. I said, can I send you some of my stuff? And he said, yeah, you can send it. But I'm going to be honest, if I don't like it, I'll let you know. And I said, that's what I want you to do. I want you to tell me if you don't like it. So I sent a song of mine that was slow, and it was called You the Night. And a week later, he ended up playing it. He fell in love with it. And we went from there, and the song really banged for me.
And I gotta say as well, that radio station was huge as well back in the day. Because I do know now, I think it changed to a different frequency number. But back in the day, that station was huge, man. So it just proves one phone call can definitely change your life.
One phone call definitely changed mine. So I would tell the story, but that'll be later on. So we'll talk about that.
And also as well, in the mid '90s, you actually inked a deal with the infamous Death Row Records. I was wondering, how did that record deal originally come to be for you? And of course, can you tell us a bit more about your time at that particular record label? Because around that time, Death Row Records was booming.
Me and Death Row Records, we never inked the deal. It was talked about. But Nate told me at that time, he told me, nah, you don't want to sign with Death Row. At the time, everybody was getting ready to leave. And I was hard-headed at that time, and I was like, man, the money was going to be good. But he was like, look, just take my word, man. You don't want to sign with this company right now. It's going down. So I never inked the deal. I just used to work with Death Row a lot, but we never signed a deal being Death Row.
And I gotta say as well, around about a year after '96, though, Nate Dogg was definitely right. That label unfortunately imploded.
Exactly. So I'm glad that was one thing that he did tell me, and I'm glad that I listened. Because at that time, if I would have took the deal, I would have been there by myself, and that wouldn't have been a good look.
And also, well, I know we spoke about this very briefly at the very beginning of the broadcast, but I have to bring this up since we're still on the topic of Death Row. As we already mentioned, you were featured on the Christmas on Death Row album. I was wondering, could you tell our listeners a story behind that project, and of course, what actually made you guys decide to just start a festive project? Because I got to say, that was really one of the first West Coast just a hip hop Christmas albums, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, well, Nate, as we all know, Nate Dogg was signed to Death Row, and they started doing a Christmas record, and he came and got me and my uncle. I had an uncle, his name was Robert, but he passed away by right now. So we all came together, and we just got in the studio and just started the song. The track was real slow, and we all just started working on it. My uncle used to sing with the family back in the day. Of course, me and Nate sung, and we just did the song. We all worked our parts, harmonized together, but we've been singing together. So, studio laid it down and made it happen, and it turned out to be a good song. It's still playing to this day.
And I gotta say, I can definitely say for a fact that it definitely still plays in everyone's CD players. Literally every single Christmas, man. It's definitely going to be one of those albums that is always going to be solidified within hip hop, in my personal opinion.
You say CD players?
Yeah, I gotta say, I still got my CD copy, man. I don't know. Me personally, I like the hard copies. I will use streaming services, but when it comes down to it, if I have the opportunity, I definitely will take a CD copy any day.
I still play my CD player too. I still rock it in the car. So I hope they come back, because I love CDs. It gives the artist a chance, and people like to look at the back of the records in those days. So, and now you don't have the record to look at the back of no more. They used to be really cool.
And especially the thank you notes as well. You really get to feel another side of the artist as well, and see all the people they want to thank, and they get the opportunity to thank their fans as well. You can't really do that with digital copies, in my opinion. You could put it in the description, but it doesn't really make sense to do that, especially with a digital copy.
Exactly. So, and I hear that it might be going back to CDs. We'll just have to see what happens.
And also as well, in the Millennium, you actually were featured on Exhibit's album Restless on the song Loud and Clear. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners a story behind that collaboration, and of course, how did yourself and Exhibit originally get connected? Because in my personal opinion, you guys had such phenomenal chemistry together on that project.
Me and Exhibit hooked up because he did work on the first East Side's record. Uh, the East Side's record had already been out, and he liked all the songs that I did on there. I had like 5 tracks on the East Side's record. Of course, the biggest record on there was Speed Up. And me and Snoop at the time, we were working on a record called, the name of that record, How You Living. And Exhibit was a part of that track, How You Living, on the East Side's record. And then once he started working on his record, he gave me a call and told me that he had a song that I would fit perfect on. And called me down to the studio. I went down there, me and him, and I forget who else was on the track. But we killed it. And that's the way that deal went down. He just reached out to me because he had known about my work from the East Side of it. And we still work and we still talk. And me and Exhibit go fishing sometimes.
And I gotta say as well, I think you were also featured on Exhibit's following project after that a few years later as well, man. You guys definitely had some phenomenal work, so it was great to actually see you not only on one Exhibit album, but also on another one as well.
Yeah, I forgot. Do you remember the name of that second record? Because I forgot.
Honestly, I absolutely forget myself. I actually was listening to the CD in the car today, but I was driving, so I couldn't really pick up the CD. But I literally totally forgot about that song myself until I heard you on that record while I was riding in my car, and I was like, "Wait, Butch is on that?"
Butch is on a whole lot of records, man. I did so many. I think right now I'm at like maybe at 300 and something hooks I did in the music business. So it's a lot of records out there. And I don't even know half of them because I just forgot. All the artists that call you and reach out, want you to do a hook or a verse here and there. And then you just tend to forget all the records that you're on until somebody lets you know and reminds you.
I gotta say, you definitely have such an extensive, legendary catalog, man. You know what I mean? And I gotta say, it's gonna keep growing and growing as well. The more years you're in the music industry, man, because I can see a lot of individuals hitting you up for even more, because you probably get a lot of DMs a day pertaining to just features alone.
Oh, yeah. A lot of the new artists, they always reaching out, talking about old songs I did and the stuff that I did with Nate Dogg and all the stuff that's just been going on. It's been really good lately, especially with the new Death Row label coming by. There's a lot of new surprises that's about to come from that, too.
And also, as well, you also were featured on probably one of the biggest Snoop Dogg singles of all time, the infamous single titled Lay Low, alongside the East Side's Nate Dogg and Master P. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners the story, not only behind that song, but also the recording session as well, because when a lot of people, they hear Snoop Dogg, some of them automatically go to Lay Low.
Right. That record was strange because I had did a song on that record already. It was called Losing Control, and that was me, Snoop, and Superfly. And I thought that was the only record that I was going to be on. Nate so happened to call me that day, and he was like, I got to go record a song with Snoop Dogg. Why don't you roll with me? And I was really trying to talk him out of it because I was tired. I'm like, man, I don't want to go out there, man. I'm cool. But he talked me into it, so we ended up rolling up to the studio. And they had the beat playing, and Nate jumped on it first. And he did the hook. So I'm just chilling. I'm in there playing the video game. I think I was playing with Exhibit or one of the cats. And Snoop came in there and he's like, Butch, what you doing? I'm like, I just came up here with Nate, man. I'm just chilling out. He was like, no, you might want to grab a piece of paper, then grab that pen and get to work. And I'm like, what? I said, you already got Nate on the hook. You don't need me on. He said, right, Nate on the hook. I need a verse from him. So I said, oh, good, I get to spit a verse now. That's one of my favorite things to do because I really don't like being a hook man. I like people to know all the other things that I do. So Lay Low has always been a big record to me because I didn't have to do the hook on that record. I got to show my skills on doing a verse. So when I laid the verse down, that was real exciting because Dr. Dre actually recorded my verse for that song. And that was the first time that I got to work with him. So that record always has to be near and dear to my heart.
And I have to ask as well, when it comes to the Master P verse, like, because in my personal opinion, and I know some individuals might not like that I say this, but obviously Master P is a legend, but when you listen to that song, for some reason, when you listen to it, Master P just doesn't really fit, in my personal opinion. Like, was he in the studio with you guys, or was that pre-recorded afterwards?
Absolutely not. He was not in the studio with us. And that's why it blew our minds, too, because once that was the only song that he got on, and he was like, I want to be on the song. And, of course, he's going to pick the track that Drake produced. And he said it in his verse. I think he said, with Dre on the beat, this ain't nothing but loot. So when he heard that song, he had it open back up, and he wanted to get on the end of it. But I felt the same way you did and everybody else. I was like, wow, Master P on this one. I don't know. But I love P. But it worked out. Because every time he performed it with us once. And when he came out, the crowd went crazy. So I said, I guess they love it.
And was this the time when Snoop Dogg was signed to Master P? Because I do know he was signed to No Limit Records back in the day. Was he still signed with Master P, or was this after he formed his own Doggy Style Records?
Yeah, he was still signed with him at that. That was actually the last record that he was doing for Master P. That's why it was called The Last Meal.
And also, as well, jumping ahead in the timeline a little bit, in the year '07, yourself and Damiza actually teamed up to release the phenomenal 12-track collaborative album titled Back Before You're Lonely. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners a bit more about this particular project. And of course, what was it like just working alongside him for this particular collaboration? Because I got to say, you two were phenomenal together on this project.
Yeah, you're taking me there now. That came about. I met Damiza. He used to work at Power 106 radio station in L.A. And he was like, what do they call the main guys up there? I forget. The guy that picks all the music that goes on the radio.
Oh, the producer or disc jockey?
Yeah, he was like he wasn't a disc jockey, but I forgot his position up there, but he was in a high position at the radio station. But then he decided that he didn't want to work radio no more. He wanted to be a rapper. And he was always fond of my skills and wanted me to. We had did like a couple of songs a year back or something that me and him had worked on, but then he had told me that he was doing a whole album, and he wanted to do a whole album with me. And being me that I love the business and I love to work on hip-hop, I didn't turn him down. And there's a couple of songs on there that I really like on that album, too. But I think the single was called Cruising. And there was another couple of songs on there, but me and Damiza, we did some work. We toured to Japan, went to Hawaii. We went a couple of places with that record that turned out pretty good. So a big shot goes out to Damiza. I kind of miss it.
And I gotta say as well, the one song off that project that I really enjoyed was actually Gangsta Lean, where I believe it was featuring Down and J.O. Felony, if I'm not mistaken.
You know better than me, because I do not remember who was on that song, Gangsta Lean. It might have been Down and J.O. Was Bishop Lamont on there?
I believe so as well. It's been so long since I actually slid that record in, but I definitely, just talking about it with you now, I definitely got to go back and just run through that entire project again, because it definitely was phenomenal.
Yeah, so when we do an interview face to face, then we'll talk about that one, because we're gonna have to go over that album again.
Oh, we definitely have to. I'll actually pull out my CD copy and everything. You know what I mean? I'll actually dust off the old records.
Yeah. That's the date. I want to be there.
And also, as well, you actually released in October of 2017. You actually released your solo titled album, which is 17 tracks long, titled "It's Official." I was wondering if you can actually just tell us the story and inspiration behind this amazing project, and of course, is it still available to be streamed or purchased today?
Yeah, it's still available. I'm going to re-release that project. I'm not going to tell you the label right now, but I'm going to re-release that project because it was more. It was more like put out as a mixtape almost, but the songs on it was so incredible that I'm going to re-release it, remaster it, and put it out probably this year. And I'll probably add a couple of songs to it. But that project, it was called "It's Official" because I had kept doing it, but I would never put it out on the date that I would say. So when it was time to make the name for it, and my buddy kept saying, "It's official." And then he was like, "Oh," they kept saying, "Is it official that you're putting it out this time? Is it official?" And then I finally said, "It's official. Yeah, it's official. We're going to put it out." And then it was like, "Yeah, that's the title of the record." And then we rolled with "It's Official," and we put it out. But I didn't forget. I think we put it out on iTunes. No. It was CD Baby. CD Baby. And it's still available to be put out. But we're going to re-release it and drop some videos from it. And everybody's going to fall in love with it for real.
And I also read something as well on Hip Hop DX back in I think it was like 2016 criteria that you on your up and coming project that you are working on, you were actually planning on you actually had unreleased Nate Dogg material that you're going to put on there. If you don't mind me asking, is that still a thing that's going to be happening, or do you have to get clearance before you use those unreleased vocals?
Yeah, I have to get clearance, but it will be no problem. I can get the clearance. Matter of fact, I already got the clearance. I did like unreleased with Nate. I probably would have like 10 songs that nobody ever had. But one or two of them that I'm going to do coming up, and everybody's going to really love it because it's a crazy record, and it's real touchy with me. I speak on the situation, but it's going to be coming out soon, and I will get it cleared, and the world will get a treat because they will be able to hear it.
But I have to ask, what is next for yourself, Butch Cassidy? I do know you said you have a record that you're working on right now that you don't want to get into, and I definitely respect that. I'd much rather wait to hear it myself when it does release to the general public. But aside from that project, what is next for yourself? Like, is there anything we happen to miss during tonight's broadcast? Anything else you do still want to talk about or promote? Well, we still got you here live on the Canadian FM dial this evening.
It's projects that's coming out. Well, I would have, I had this thing on the record that I put out where I thanked a lot of the artists that allowed me to use my vocals on their projects. And, I touched everybody on the West Coast. It's a few artists on the South that I never got to work with, like Scarface and what's the other guy, Andre 3000, Ludacris, and on the East there's Jay-Z, but I've worked with 50 Cent and another artist on the East that I want to work with, but it's just a few more things that I want to do as far as hip-hop, because hip-hop has really been good to me. I've been able to touch all the artists that I've respected in the West Coast. And I got a couple of things that's coming out on the new Death Row label. That's going to be really, really big. I took a little meeting with Snoop about a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about some stuff that we're about to do. And I did a record recently that I did with Nate Dogg's son, In Hell, and it's called Every Time I Call. It's a new single that we just dropped 2.5 weeks ago. We did a video to it, and it's really doing good. And I'm taking a lot of time out to work with him because I'm sure that would make his dad happy if he was here. Being that his dad helped me a lot, I feel it's only right that I give back and help his son as he starts his journey through this crazy music business. But other than that, there's just a lot of things coming out, and I want my fans and all people in the radio land to rock with me. 'Cause I love y'all just like y'all love me. So stay tuned. It's coming.
And the one thing I have to ask, Butch, because when you said you had a meeting with Snoop Dogg, I know obviously it's a meeting, you can't disclose a lot of information, but do you think in the future you actually might sign with like a lot? And I say this is a long time coming because of course you know you got offered it back in the day. Do you think you actually might sign with the New Death Row now that Snoop Dogg is actually the owner of it?
When I met with him a while back, that's what we were talking about. Is the deal is being worked on now as we speak. So it's like I said, there's a lot of crazy things that's going to come out that everybody going to be like, wow. But that's what we're talking about. We're working on a deal right now to put out all my music. So the world is going to get to hear everything, and you're the first person that ever got to hear that that's coming.
And I gotta say, it's definitely an honor that you actually chose to share that information with not only myself, but of course my radio station Airways, man. It's truthfully an honor, man. At the end of the day, you could have took that to Vlad or anybody else, man, but you decided to share that with me here this evening to make that announcement, man. So truthfully, thank you, man. From one hip hop fan to an artist, man, that's definitely an honor.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. You're the first one that I'm talking to as all this crazy stuff is about to begin. And I'll never forget you for that.
But also, Butch, this is the time in the interview quickly that I give a chance for the individual that does slide into the radio station airwaves, just like a chance to give like shoutouts to whomever they want to give shoutouts to, but most of all, your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated on everything that is coming in 2022 and, of course, the future for the one and only Butch Cassidy.
Now, see, me and social media, now that's a subject right there that I'm really having a problem with because, but I'm going to have to get more serious with it because I don't tend to run a lot of my social media stuff. I got other people that do that. But on Instagram, I think you can hit me up on Butch Cassidy, LBC. And then I got a old Facebook page that's still out there. My Twitter, I don't remember. I'm going to have to get back to you with that. I'm telling you, I'm super terrible with the social media. But all that stuff is being worked on right now. Everything is going to be worked out. And I want to give a shout out to my family. Rest in peace to Nate Dogg. Rest in peace to Tupac. Rest in peace to Eazy-E. And rest in peace to the Notorious B.I.G. and all the recent rappers that we lost in the game. What's the other rapper's name? Pop Smoke. And then there was another rapper that just got killed. Something 400.
Oh, I think it's Slim 400, I believe.
There you go. Thank you. Slim 400 and all the other ones that we lost. And I want to tell all the fans out there, love God and everything will come and everything will work out for you. And that's about pretty ill. I want to give a shout out to my mother, my sisters, and everybody that I love, and all the fans that love my music.
And I gotta say, first and foremost, Butch, it was such an honor just to be able to chat with such a legendary West Coast individual like yourself, man. You know, one of my favorite songs that you ever did was So Gangsta, man, that I actually have locked and loaded in the radio station airways, about to play immediately following this interview. So if the listeners don't know who you are, they're definitely going to get a taste, not only after all this conversation, but also from this song as well.
Yeah, So Gangsta was a record that I did for myself, and then I messed around and played it for Snoop, and he was like, oh, please, can I have it? And I thought about saying no till I looked at the check. So then I went on and let him have it.
Hey man,
But so
money
gangster,
talks.
the record that I love.
I don't know. I've always enjoyed that song because you're so smooth on the record. Like I know you're smooth on every single project, but it's one of those songs you can just kind of like close your eyes, play it, and then just kind of get lost in the beat and the rhythm. Man, it's such a phenomenal song.
Well, you talking about the smoothness, and you better chill out on that. I got a rock record coming out.
Hey, you know what? I kind of dip my toe in the rock and roll genre as well, man. So I'll definitely pick up that project and show some support. I can't go wrong with that.
Shouts out to Sublime,
But I gotta say first,
my favorite Long Beach group.
and I gotta say I think you guys are definitely gonna be phenomenal in that project, man. Because I think DMC from Run DMC, he dipped his toe into the rock and roll realm, and I believe Ice-T as well did. His group just won a Grammy, I think, a couple years ago. So if they can do it, man, Butch Cassidy could easily, definitely do it.
Yeah, but mine is gonna be like soft rock. I don't want it too hard. You know what I mean? Not like that heavy metal stuff that be going on.
I think
I
that
wanna
soft
smooth
cell
it.
will definitely be a good twist.
Exactly. So it's gonna be something like that. And you said this is in Canada, right?
Canada, yeah, we're on the East Coast, so we are right across the border from New York State.
So when you gonna invite me out?
Hey man, we can definitely make it happen, man. Whenever you're ready. And I don't know, I don't even know if the borders are open back up fully yet, but I'll definitely look into that information and we'll definitely coordinate it and actually get you down here to the East Coast of Canada. Because after all, man, we need some Butch Cassidy down here on the East Coast.
Didn't Avril Lavigne come from out there?
Yeah, she's I believe she's from the Toronto GTA area, I believe. I'm not quite sure exactly where, but I do know she's from the Toronto area.
That's one of my favorite artists too. Back in the day, I thought I was gonna marry her, but that never worked out.
Hey man, time will tell because I do know she's actually I think she's living out there in California now, man. So you definitely got a shot there, Butch. You know what I mean?
Let's put it together. But thanks, man, for everything that you did, and we're gonna do more in the future. So
Hey, most
now
definitely.
we got a lifetime friendship.
Hey man, I gotta say I can't complain with that, Butch. It's truthfully an honor, man, and I'm definitely looking forward to working alongside you further, man. But for tonight, definitely have yourself a wonderful night, man, and enjoy your weekend as well out there in Long Beach.
And you do the same, man. Anytime you need something from me, you got it.
Hey, the same goes for you as well, man. You know, this is my number. Feel free to call me anytime.
Same here. I'll talk to you soon, man.
Most definitely, Butch. Thank you so much again.
All right, later.